what if ketamine is the best I've ever felt? Or you're in the preparation part of ketamine and you're like, oh no, what if ketamine's the best I'll ever feel? And there's, maybe you have, like I do, a history of depression, a history of, suicidal ideation and things like that. And you're like, whoa, I don't know if I can handle a dip like that. Then I really invite you to get in touch with the story, because it's not about what happens. It's really about the story of what happens there. And again, get yourself support, right? If that's the ketamine preparation protocol, highly recommend it, literally. If you're listening to this show, I already know something about you. I know that you care about doing this work well. You're not just here for an experience, you are here for real, lasting change. So let me ask you, how are you ever going to get the transformation you want from ketamine if you aren't clear about what to expect? The only way to make sure that ketamine actually works for you is to get clear on how the mind works and how ketamine interacts with your brain, the rules of psychedelics use so you don't make the same mistake I did, and how to be prepared for anything. And yes, I mean anything. And those questions only get answered when you follow a solid preparation protocol. Unfortunately, most clinics don't offer this up. Maybe they refer you to a therapist, but most therapists don't understand subconscious work or psychedelic work. And with anxiety, ketamine can only do so much. However, I also have good news. That is exactly why I created the ketamine preparation protocol. It is a simple 3-step process to help you feel safe, supported, ready, and yes, able to trust the process so that your journey is powerful and life-changing, not left up to chance. Go ahead and visit the link in the show notes and get yourself prepared, whether you've already started ketamine or are going to soon. All right, back to the show. Hi, welcome back to Ketamine Connections. I'm Anna. You're amazing. Thank you for being here. This community is growing, the interactions are growing, and things are feeling so good. Before I jump into any more information, I'm here to tell you that today's episode is a little different. I want you to think of it like a fireside chat. I have a cup of tea here from a hand-painted mug that I'm so excited to just sip this tea and have this conversation with you. So, what can I tell you first? This community is growing. As a reminder, again, I can't answer fan mail. Some of you are reaching out and sending me information, sending me links going, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you feel about that? So, first of all, I have a lot of thoughts. I have so many thoughts that I have this podcast to just air out the infinite amount of thoughts that I have. And there's so many more episodes in the queue and things like that. And so I want to share my thoughts, but if you're writing on fan mail, I can't respond to you. Sometimes I've published a whole episode based on your questions to get the information to you that way. And I love an interactive experience. I love life being an interactive experience. So if you're willing to send me an email, that's probably the best thing, because you may know we're not on social media. Social media has a lot of censorship, and we got booted from social media last year in 2024, which is a bummer. I'm starting to almost kind of maybe miss it. Mostly the interactions with community there. So if you're willing to send me an email, I would love to interact with you there. And speaking of emails, I have an email list, and I highly recommend getting on my email list. Any of the links and any of the show notes will take you to any of the forms on my website that'll get you there. And why do I recommend you being on my email list? One, there's things that I share in my newsletter that I don't share on here or anywhere else, especially since I'm not on social media. So last month, I started a series called Energetic Updates. And that is based off of, I work with clients all over the country that are, everything different economic statuses, different ages, different like life goals. And every so often, there's an alignment in theme of what I'm sharing with clients, what I'm hearing back. And so I've been wanting to find a place to get that out. And so the only place that makes sense right now, because they're not super regular, is my email list. So if you're on my email list, you'll hear about the energetic updates. You'll be the first to know when something live is happening. So every month, I lead a group called Mental Hygiene Moments. This was born out of the pandemic in 2020. And it is a 30-minute session, and we do 20 minutes of hypnosis in that session. It's one of my favorite ways to get to know you and be in community and share the process of subconscious rewiring. Because if you've been listening to this show for a little or a long time, hopefully you're getting the point that subconscious reprogramming goes so beyond the ceremony. In fact, the ceremony is such a small part of the transformation process. And again, I believe that the transformation process really, really starts with preparation. That is why I created the ketamine preparation protocol. It's live now. There's people in it. We have our first call on May 22nd. So get in there. We will be doing monthly calls, but I highly recommend getting in there sooner rather than later, especially if you're considering ketamine or have already started. It's so crucial to prepare, and I've seen it too because I've gotten to work with clients since 2021, again, all over the country, all different stages of life and their ketamine journey. I've really seen that you can have already started ketamine, already be in process, maybe getting the desired results or maybe not. And you could be, days, weeks, months into your ketamine journey. And when you apply the proper preparation, it is literally magic how it transforms your journey. So, ketamine preparation protocol, the links are always in the show notes. So get on there. It's also the best way to get on my newsletter so that you get all of the updates. And I do want to shout out an email that I got recently. It's from my mom. I love you, mom. I hope you're listening. Um, my mom has literally been the biggest fan of my work since literally day one. She is at every single mental hygiene moments. I did, I think, 54 of them in 2020, and she was at every single one. She's still at every single one. We do them monthly now. And she's still at every single one. She is the one who responds to pretty much 80% of my email newsletters with some sort of love note and is just amazing. I love my mom so much. She is, by the way, she's the one who put me on this path. In When I was a freshman in college, we were talking and she said, "You should try a yoga class." I've been practicing yoga for, it'll be 21 years this fall. It's such a big part of my journey and my life. It's what led me to literally everything that I do. My mom was drinking almond milk or coconut milk. She was drinking rice milk. That's what it was. Still not a fan, but good for you if you are. Before it was cool, before you could have it at a coffee shop, when she had to like drive across the city, it's like 30 minutes away to find some rice milk. She's been such a trailblazer in my spiritual and my wellness path. And for whatever reason, I don't know and I haven't investigated. And honestly, it's totally fine. She has been such a no to this podcast. She has written me emails. Again, she responds to the newsletters as if they're personal to her. I love you so much, mom. They go out to hundreds of people. And she responds to all of them, almost all of them. And she's been responding, going, "Honey, I'm not interested in the podcast," and which is valid and fair because this podcast isn't really for her. She's not the person that I'm speaking to in this show. And just this week, I got an email from her saying that she's been converted. So something is going right. She said that the episode with Kevin, who shared about his CRPS journey, and the episode with Dr. Austin Harris, who is running the clinic in Sherman Oaks, California, Neuro Relief. By the way, if you enjoyed that episode, he's actually going to come back onto the show in a few weeks. And then there's the whole post-production process. So it'll probably be June-ish where that episode is out. Follow the show, just like wherever you're listening, click follow so that you get these updates or get on my newsletter. So I will let you know when shows get released. Yeah, something about those two episodes really kind of hit her home and she goes, "Oh, I finally am interested in this podcast." So something is going right. If the woman who birthed me gave me life, happy Mother's Day. This episode is going to release right after Mother's Day. I love you so much, Mom. Oh my God. So much. And yeah, this is going to be a raw episode. Wow, we're already there. We're already there. Let me take a sip of tea. Okay. This is a raw episode. Why? Well, two reasons. One, it was a dare. So another dear friend for a long time, listener of the show, Alyssa Bestwick, who is actually we've already recorded the episode and it's in post-production right now. She said, "I dare you to just sit down and hit record and see what happens." And I love a good dare. So game on. Alyssa, here we go. And the second reason kind of underneath that is I've been having a lot of interactions with listeners, and as of right now, I kind of put you all into two camps. So the first camp is people who know me outside of the podcast. Whether you know me from a different stage in my life or you know me, you've worked with me. There's the people that know me not through the podcast, we'll say. And then there's people that you've met me through the podcast. And so this is maybe this is your first time listening. Welcome to the show. So those two camps of people who know me outside the show and people who meet me through the show. And when I ask, because I want feedback, right? This show is for you. I want to get you information. I want to get you what it is that you desire. And so I'm always asking people, what are you enjoying about the show? What would you like more of? What's an episode that you can remember that really stuck with you? Now, when I ask that question of people who know me, people who, yeah, who kind of just know who I am, they're always pointing at episodes that are either usually an interview, actually. When I ask people who meet me through the show, what is your favorite episode? Y'all are always pointing to the episode that I can't remember the number of right now. It's the one around mid-November where I talk about my journey. My journey with psychedelics, how it transformed my life, and you're saying that that's the one that really resonates with you. So I thought, why not share another story? I have so many stories to share. I love stories. We learn through stories. We see ourselves in stories. We resonate with stories. So I thought, great, here's a dare to be more raw and vulnerable on the show. And here you are mirroring back to me that that's what you actually love and want more of. So today's episode is raw, it's tender, it's open-hearted, and it's about the topic. When I was thinking about what to title this episode, right? What if ketamine is the best experience I've ever had? No, what if ketamine is the best I've ever felt? Some version of that. It might change by the time it releases. I have the ability to change my mind. So, that topic is something that is really relevant to a recent experience that I had in my life that I'm going to share with you. And also it's a common question that I get. And this topic actually is the topic of integration, which is what I believe in most intensely, right? Proper preparation and proper integration. The messy middle part is it's there, it's the messy middle, and it's where you can have a peak experience or a like the opposite of peak. You can have the lowest experience of your life. And by the way, I'm not just talking about ketamine, because I'm not talking about ketamine with my recent experience on the show. I'm talking about anything. I'm talking about you can go out and see the most magical sunset that brings tears to your eyes, peak experience, right? You can receive a message that is the worst news you've ever received, low experience. And then what do you do with that, right? And that is what I'm so passionate about because, I started as a hypnotherapist in 2018, and people would come and have these incredible epiphanies in hypnosis. Still happens, by the way. I still do hypnosis work. And then what do you do with it? Right? It's like if that peak experience is a peak experience, epiphany, whatever you want to call it, if it opens the door, are you going to step through? And that's really what we're talking about today of like, what if ketamine is the best I've ever felt, which by the way is possible. It's definitely real. And I've heard this so many times. So that's the topic that we're diving into today. And I'm going to keep relating it back to a peak experience that I recently had. And the truth is, I'm so grateful and so fortunate, and also probably why thinking of my parents brings so many tears to my eyes, because my whole life is possible because of them. If you don't know my story, I'm going to get into that when I have Dr. Austin Harris back on the show in a few weeks. Uh, yeah, we'll get into that my life story then. But I've been so fortunate to have so many peak experiences in my life. Getting into the college that I wanted to go to, peak experience. Wow, like that quintessential university experience as an immigrant in this country. Amazing. I've been to a couple of Tony Robbins events. I mean, he talks about peak state, peak experience there. Uh, Getting to live in my dream home and like build my business in the home that I'm in right now with the community that I have right now, peak experience. And so I've gotten the privilege, the honor, and like so much infinite gratitude for having so many peak experiences. And what can I tell you about that is that again, it's not about the experience because all of our experiences are fleeting, right? Even this moment that I'm talking about right now already passed. I snapped my fingers, that was seconds ago. And so it really is about what do you do with that experience, right? When we talk about integration, we talk about making whole. So I go to this event. So this past weekend, I went to a regional Burning Man event. So if you're familiar with Burning Man, it happens every summer. I think August. I've never been. It happens in the desert, Nevada. That sounds right. And it's a pretty epic event. I mean, I think they're up to like 70,000 people like coming into this event. And then throughout the year, because Burning Man, being a burner, it's more of a lifestyle than like an experience. And so there's regional burns all over the country that are smaller in size. And so I went to a regional burn last weekend. It was my second time, and it was such a peak experience for me, more so than the first time. It was such a peak experience that I want to go back to my journals from last year because I'm not even understanding how last year was a peak experience with how peak of a peak experience this one was. And so what can I tell you about that? A few things. So number one, it was edgy. It was risky. It was brave. I left my laptop at home as a digital entrepreneur, as a digital nomad. That does not happen. I can't tell you the last time that's happened that I've just gone somewhere without my laptop. There are certain things in my business that I cannot do on my phone that need to get done sometimes, right? And so to not have my laptop and to have just released ketamine preparation protocol and to be in the space of I trust that everything that I built is standing on its legs and is serving the people that are meant to come in uh, was huge. And to also really lean in and accept that I'm not a neurosurgeon. I don't need to be on call. Like things can go wrong and I'll tend to them when I get back. So to leave my laptop at home, the most amazing decision I ever made, which led to the next decision, which was to turn my phone into airplane mode. I found myself the first 24 hours, even though my phone was not with me. I found myself when I would go back to my tent, I would just catch up on messages because I was living this story of, well, it's easier to stay on top of them than to have like a whole bunch of them when I come back from the experience. And I got really sick of that. Within 24 hours, I realized my phone could go into airplane mode and that I didn't need to have my phone on at all. So having my phone off for 4 days was incredible. It's actually inspired me to maybe question mark do a phone free or like a screen free day a week. I used to do that a couple of years ago, inspired by a friend who does screen free Sundays. And so maybe I'll do that. I'll let you all, I'll let y'all know. We'll do another one of these. So that was a big thing, was to have my phone off for the duration, almost the duration within the first 24 hours of that. And that led to a lot of presence. The experience of presence that I had in that weekend at that event, at that experience, was really next level. And I want to tell a few stories that really led to me understanding the power of presence. Now, I've been studying esoteric religions, philosophies, whatever lineages you want to call them. I don't know, 20 something years. My undergrad degree is in diplomacy, which came with a lot of education about philosophy and religion and things like that. So I'm really well versed in these topics. And so every single one, I haven't found one yet that doesn't have some sort of emphasis on the power of presence. And because I was so present, I really got to experience that. And there's this one standout moment that is kind of symbolic of the power of presence. So the way that these events are is that there's camps set up. It's literally a pop-up city made of tents and installations, right? And so as you navigate the space, there's certain camps that have music, right? They're like the party camps. There's certain camps that have food. They're the food camps. There's a shower camp, and then there's also so much art, all sorts of art, different like multimedia, all sorts of art that is available. A lot of it is interactive, which I think makes it extra fun. And there was one art installation that I really enjoyed. It was, "What is your burning question?" And I love the power of questions. One of my favorite quotes that I live and work by is, "The quality of your life depends on the quality of your questions." So, what I mean by that is, if I'm asking the question of, why do I always feel like crap? Why do bad things over? I don't even want to say this. Like, I don't even like how this is landing in my body right now. Questions like that, your subconscious mind is hardwired to answer questions. So your subconscious mind is going to go on a journey to tell you all of the times that you felt like crap. And here's all the reasons why your life in general, whoever, sucks. But if you switch the question to, what do I need to feel better right now? Ooh, that's a good question. Or what's the best that could happen? What if it all works out? So, you're getting the point, right? When you ask good questions, which is also, by the way, something that I teach in the ketamine preparation protocol, just plugging that in there because I really have poured so much into that program and I want to see as many of you in there as possible. So, when you ask good questions, you get really good answers. So, I just love questions, are like my jam, literally. And I loved, like, what is your burning question? So, I had to go see the installation. And what the installation was, it was just a giant scroll, people to write down questions that would be put into the effigy. The effigy is the installation that gets burned. At the burn, something gets burned. And I mean, so much energy gets burned, physical matter gets burned. And so you get to put questions, prayers, things that you're releasing, whatever you want to put into the effigy. And so I loved this installation. So I found this installation my first night out, and it was amongst some of the bigger parties that were happening, dance parties, really fun parties. I love dancing. If you don't know that about me, please know that I am an avid dancer. I dance literally every single day. I'm often found dancing right before I hit record because it just helps me shake the energy off. Now you know that about me. So what happened next? So the next night, I'm wandering around the event, around the burn, and I end up back at this installation, except this time I'm there with someone that I've been wandering with, and we've been dancing, we've been connecting, we've been just like having a good time. And then we sit down and we have one of my peak experiences at the whole event, because we're so present with each other. I didn't know this at the time. At the time, I was just like, this is what we're doing. And then I think it was the next day, a friend of mine asked, what was your highlight from last night? And I was like, that lawn chair, like sitting in that lawn chair, having connected time, like being human with another human was a peak experience for me. And I was like, why? Right. I mean, there were so many peak experiences that night, from meeting so many people, dancing, just like there's so much happening at an event like this. And I was like, why was that it? Why was that the peak experience? And a lot of it had to do with the fact that I've been training my subconscious mind to be present for most of my life at this point. And in that, a different version of myself would think, oh, because we had just left a dance party and we were going to another dance party. And that's what we were doing that night. I mean, most of that night was out dancing. And I was in the past, I would think, oh, let's go to the next thing, right? Like we just left the last thing, let's go to the next thing. And I would bulldoze the transition. I used to be really good at bulldozing the transitions. I'm going to release that part of my identity, having had this experience. And I was able to connect, be human, and really gain so much from that interaction because of the high level of presence, because there was no expectation. There was no should. There was no, oh, we should leave this art installation. Oh, we should go to the next party. Oh, we should go back and dance at the last party. Oh, we should go find this person and check in. It was just like pure, incredible, grounded presence that honestly rippled into healing that I'm not even fully aware of yet, because it's still landing in my body and it's still landing in my nervous system. And that was really beautiful to witness. The second story that I'll tell from this regional burn was actually the last night, where I was just out on my own by choice, by the way. I just could not hold an interaction. I was just so amped up. Like we had just burned the effigy, we had danced around the fire. I was amped. I was so high energy. And I just wanted to wander. I wanted to wander from one art installation to another. I wanted to walk into a dance party, stay there for 10 seconds, and then go to the next dance party. I just could not really be committed or like in one place. My energy wanted to be on the move. And two things, in hindsight, I realized that I actually I integrate a lot through walking. It's why one of the reasons I spend so much time in nature is because walking in nature helps me integrate, make sense, and process things. So in hindsight, I was like, oh, that's why I couldn't be still. And that's why I had to walk more than dance, more than anything else. What I needed was to walk, because I was actually integrating and processing the whole event. It was the last night. I would be leaving in a few hours. And in that experience of just wandering around this festival, Burn is not a festival. I was told that many times. The thing that I really got to embody, right? I got it to land in my body, in my nervous system, was my yeses and my nos, right? And so I would walk up to somewhere and, subconsciously, the question was, am I curious? Am I curious to stop here and, connect with what's happening, or do I want to keep walking? And that happened all night. And it released any shoulds that I could have been feeling about anything that I should have or could have been doing. And it really demonstrated to me that when I follow my full body heck yes, when I follow my full fuck yes, I land exactly where I'm meant to be. And that happened over and over and over again. My Aura Ring told me I walked, I think, 15 miles. That's wild. I don't know how big the festival was, but that's like probably 15 laps around this thing. And it got to I got to be with myself, with others, and really feel into, like, am I a yes to this conversation? Am I a yes to this installation? Am I a yes to this party? And if I wasn't, I had this full permission within myself to keep walking, to keep exploring and to keep going until something did stop me, until something did connect with me in a way that felt more resonant to stop and interact with beyond just like a wave and a hello and I'm going to keep walking. So, yeah, coming off of this experience, one second. Mm, I love tea. Um, Coming off of this experience, it's really common, by the way. The universe works with contraction and expansion. It's just real. It's just there's so many, again, ancient lineages that talk about, the universal law of polarity, contraction, expansion. What goes up must come down, right? Like all of these ways that we have talk about this really normal thing, that it's normal to come out of a peak experience like this and completely crash. And in fact, this week I did have a crash. Wednesday, I had a crash on Wednesday, and I spiraled on Wednesday. No, like aside from the crash, the story that was coming out of the crash was, that's it. My peak experience is over, and everything that I experienced there is gone now, and it's never coming back, which was so far from the truth. The truth was I needed a nap. That was the actual truth. After my nap, it's Friday at the time of this recording. Took a nap on Wednesday afternoon. I've been fine ever since. So again, right? It's so interesting how we have these peak experiences, and then what are the stories that come out of this? I actually had an Instagram post. Again, we got kicked off of Instagram, so get on my newsletter. I had an Instagram post that was one of my top ranked posts um, years ago at this point. And it says, "What do you do after you meet God?" I mean, that's not what the post said. What did it say? How do you land back from outer space? It's really common that psychedelics, peak experiences make us feel like we're on another planet, like we're in outer space. And so, what do you do after that? And the post said, you do your laundry, you do your dishes, you unpack your car, you clean up your desk, you do the earthly things, you do the 3D things. And why is that important? Because life is not one experience. Hopefully, you know that. And meanwhile, in our society and in the conversation that's been dominant in the mental health space for as long as I can remember, and honestly, as long as I've been studying, we're striving to get somewhere. Like, where are you going? W- No one's getting out of this alive. Like, you want to get somewhere and stay there. I mean, that's brilliant in theory. I mean, in theory, maybe I would want to get to that peak state that I experienced last weekend and stay there. But here's two things. One, that's not real. Two, it's not life. And I'll add a third as a bonus. It's not, if you only had that experience, how would you know that that's a peak experience? One of the things that we experience as humans on planet Earth is contrast. Okay. And so contrast is hot, cold, good, bad, right? Let's not get there. Hot, cold. Let's go hot, cold, right? It's like, that peak experience that I had was, my ideal temperature is probably somewhere around 77. That's like when I feel the best. That was 77. But if I didn't know 110 and I didn't know negative 32, how would I know that 77 was my ideal, temperature, right? And we can use the temperature for the temperature of your life. The temperature of, when things are going so good and they're getting better and they're getting better, and oh my god, how is it getting even better? Which I'm going to talk about that at the end of the podcast, by the way. um, and in the other direction, like, come on, life, universe, source, God, whatever, something, somewhat, somewhere. Like, I need a break, right? Like, I need a win today. I need a win this week. Like, really, like, now this happened on top of this happening, on top of this happening. And that's the fullness of the life experience. We are meant to be here and experience all of it. And it's interesting because this hierarchy and preference structure that we have on emotions is completely fabricated. In the subconscious mind, emotions are energy in motion. Emotions are just things moving through that are meant to be experienced. And actually, I've been talking about this a lot this week, that any emotion, the maximum amount of time that it can stay in your system, by the way, is 90 seconds. After that, one of two things is happening. You are either perpetuating it because that, as whatever that emotion is, it's your comfort zone to feel that way. Or two, you're recreating it, right? You're either perpetuating it or you're telling stories that recreate it and make you feel more of the same thing. And so, that day on Wednesday when I was crashing, there was a part of me that was thinking I should push through, right? Well, let me, I'll feel better if this, that, or the third. When the truth was, sleep, especially a good nap. I like to take hypnosis naps, by the way. There's a whole collection of hypnosis recordings on my website that you please use them. There's a lot of you that do, and thank you for letting me know when you do, because it's been clinically proven that 20 minutes of hypnosis is the equivalent of 4 hours of sleep. So I love putting on a 20-minute hypnosis recording, letting myself drift off. 9 out of 10 times, I come back as the recording's done, and it resets your whole system. Anyone out there who's ever listened to Abraham, Esther Hicks, napping is the best way to reset your energetic system. So there was a part of me on Wednesday as I'm crashing, and making up stories about it. No, that peak experience is over. It wasn't even real. I don't get to live a life that's good. Like all of this old programming that was coming through. And part of me was thinking, okay, what can I do? Maybe I go to a yoga class, or maybe I go for a hike, or maybe I, sit down and do some of this work that is piling up because I didn't work for several days. And then I thought, I asked my body, like, what do I actually need right now? I was tired. I needed a nap. My Aura Ring also, maybe Aura Ring wants to sponsor me now that I've mentioned it twice on the show. I'm open to that. It showed me how stressful that experience was, like how the whole event was on my body. I'm a little bit of a unicorn. My daily stress stays below, I mean, the max stress that I experience in a day is 4 hours. And I have a lot of recovery time. It's built into my day. I really practice what I preach. So to see my stress levels at like 8 hours for the day, there was one day, I think that day that I walked 15 miles, it was like 11 hours of stress. And it was, wow, it was really stressful on my body. So it makes sense that just 2 days later, I also slept very little because I'm a very energetic person and I get a lot of energy from my environment. And so I got a lot of energy from being in such an energetic space. So my body needed to catch up on sleep. And so after that nap, literally, like I said, for 2 days, I have been feeling better and everything's fine. So I love this question of what if ketamine is the best that I've ever felt? Because it's revealing something, right? One, it's revealing like a wow, ketamine's the best I've ever felt. Like congratulations. I've had that on ketamine, and actually again, Dr. Austin Harris coming back because I had that in at his clinic in Sherman Oaks, and we're going to talk about it together. So I totally have had that experience where ketamine is the best that I've ever felt. And then but the question of like what if this is the best I've ever felt? It's showing some level of fear, right? What if I never feel this good again? Or what if that was fleeting? First of all, it is fleeting. That's the whole point of integration, is to how to make that a part of your life and how to make that transformation, right? If you want ketamine to transform your life, you want it to transform your subconscious mind. And this fear of like, oh my gosh, what if, is really coming from the depths of your subconscious. So what can I say about that? Again, talking about like we're meant to have a variety of experiences, talking about how life is of like so many things, right? Multiple truths is one of my favorite phrases. And that's the thing about transformation. The thing about transformation is that it's not linear, right? We're conditioned in this linear society. You go from first grade to second grade to third grade to et cetera, right? Why do so many of us have like existential crises when we're done with schooling because we don't know what to do next? We've been given a playbook and a syllabus and instructions from age 5 to whenever you're done. I finished grad school, I was 24, and then I was like, who's going to tell me what to do next? Right. And so, same thing with ketamine, right? It's just like, well, what do I do next? And if you're asking that question, please know that there is answers out there for you. Half of them are in the ketamine preparation protocol. So get in there if you're not already. And then you have access to me in the live call and you can ask these questions. But for the sake of the show, what I want to say is that it's not linear, right? This path is not linear. And what I really emphasize in my work is what I call a spiral staircase of healing. And so what the spiral staircase of healing is that it's that you're going to encounter the same topics in your life over and over again. This isn't the first time. Like I said, it's not the first time I've had a peak experience. So it makes sense that each one gets higher and higher. It's not the first time that I've had fear after a peak experience that I'll never feel that good again. Again, it's like I'm walking up this spiral staircase. I'm seeing the same topics of life come up over and over again. And I get to see them from a different vantage point. You get to see them from a different vantage point. And the idea is to not go so linear from like, so many of us have these perfectionist tendencies, right? So it's not about like, oh, let me go from this state of being, from this kind of person to the kind of person who would never have a negative thought, who would never eat chocolate right before bed, who would never whatever, fill in the blank of whatever your vice of choice is. That's not the point. The point is to walk up the spiral staircase and really have a process of introspection, of self-reflection, and like really freaking know thyself to know like, okay, maybe I didn't handle that well. Maybe I threw myself into a pity party, guys, all the time. I have pity parties. I love throwing myself a pity party because I let myself go there. Because again, I let that emotion move through me. But guess what? That's way better. The pity parties that I have now are way more fun than the pity parties that I had years ago when I was trying to pretend that I wasn't having a pity party. And so the real flex is like, wow, I see myself. I see myself improving. I see myself asking good questions. I see myself getting the help that I need to live the life that I want. I see myself freaking still in the game. Like, holy crap. Like, how many of you have been on your mental health journey for, I don't know, some of you I've spoken to 20 plus years, 20 plus years, and you're still here seeking answers. You're still persevering. You're so freaking resilient. And like, see yourself in that instead of seeing like it's so basic to like look over there and go, oh, but I'm not there yet. Yeah, but where'd you come from? Okay, like where are you coming from? And what can you celebrate? Because the subconscious mind, by the way, it's hardwired for efficiency. It doesn't want to change. Because if I'm someone who enjoys my pity parties instead of like spiraling into days, weeks, months of blah, like, just whatever I used to, how did it used to go? Deep depression, incredible hopelessness, apathy, lost of appetite, not just for food, but like for everything in life, but still overeating and still like, yeah, that was real. What else? I'm thinking of this one depressive hole that I lived in when nothing was wrong. Those were air quotes if you're on the audio. What else? Anyways, can you witness yourself getting better? I can witness myself getting better, which is why my better is snowballing and my worse is like literally a blip on the radar. I sprained my ankle this year. Humbling experience. That went on for 2 months. I've sprained my ankle so many times as a kid and as an adult. Never has it gone on for 2 months. I don't even remember that because I wasn't focused on that. I mean, there were definitely days where I had long pity parties, and I was focused on that, but it wasn't my main focus for those 2 months. And yeah, if you're interested in this, like, send me an email. Enough with the fan mail. I can't answer you. I will send you love and gratitude for the fan mail, but I want to send you a response. So send me an email if you want to hear more about this, right? How to reprogram your thinking, how to reprogram your inner monologue, how to reprogram the thoughts in your head, which in turn reprograms your experience of life. Because the truth is, life is ebb and flow, right? It's like you're still walking up that spiral staircase. So even though I was looking dead at this peak experience, 10, 8, 100 floors up from where I've been my last peak experience, then I kept walking, right? Which is why Wednesday knocked me out. There's just like something about Wednesday that knocked me out, and I let myself go there. But the thing is that I really want to instill in this also is that it's rarely about what happens and mostly about the story that you make up about what happens. I had a dip on Wednesday. What was the story? I lost it. It wasn't real. I'll never have it again. Can you see how that story is way more like ouch on my heart and my soul and my spirit that's on this path of constantly improving, of constantly reprogramming my subconscious mind to accept more good into my life? Can you imagine what a story like that would land in my nervous system of just like, it wasn't real and I'll never get it back? Like, whoa, that's dramatic. I love the drama. And it escalated really quickly. So, if you're asking the question of like, what if ketamine is the best I've ever felt? Or you're in the preparation part of ketamine and you're like, oh no, what if ketamine's the best I'll ever feel? And there's, maybe you have, like I do, a history of depression, a history of, suicidal ideation and things like that. And you're like, whoa, I don't know if I can handle a dip like that. Then I really invite you to get in touch with the story, because it's not about what happens, it's really about the story of what happens there. And again, get yourself support, right? If that's the ketamine preparation protocol, highly recommend it. Literally so much in there to help you. Whether it's like a good I therapists are strange for me. There's more good ones out now, but I talk therapy is clinically proven to be completely ineffective and actually proven to do more harm than good. So if you're in talk therapy and all you're doing is talk therapy, consider finding a different kind of therapist. And I think there is an episode about like ketamine coaching, how to find, oh no, it's how to vet a clinic. There's a lot in there. If you want to hear about that, shoot me an email. I would love to answer that question of like how to find a good therapist or how to find a good professional. There is an episode early in the podcast that's like, what is a ketamine coach, which talks more about the work that I do. My background is hypnotherapy, which is way different than talk therapy. But the point is, if you're asking this question from like this deep, vulnerable, like, holy shit, like the fact that this might be my peak experience and I might not recover from that because I have had so many letdowns in life, I see you and I'm telling you, get the right support. That's it. I'm going to bring this episode home. I'm going to land the plane because one, I have no idea how long I've been talking because my little recorder button timer is blocked, but I'm looking at the clock and I think it's been a while. So let me land the plane. What if ketamine is the best I'll ever feel? Well, great. Because then you get to experience something and then you get to build pathways, neural pathways on how to get back there. Then you get to integrate that experience and really take a hard look at your life and go, okay, what's not aligned with that, right? What are people practices? What are lifestyle choices that I get to make that send me in that direction? Maybe not quite get me there. I'm not like here to tell you that like you can get the same joy. Actually, I am here to tell you that you can get the same joy from a walk in nature, a meditation, a hypnosis, or a yoga class. I am here to tell you can get that same level of high as you do from ketamine, because what you're doing with ketamine that I truly believe is that you're showing your brain what's possible. You're giving your brain a path of like, hey, remember that fire pit at the top of the hill? I want to go back there. And then you get to touch it in different experiences. I touch it all the time in dance. Again, I'm an avid dancer. I dance every single day. And you get to build pathways back there. And what you get to experience, right? Contrast. And what contrast does is that it shifts your baseline, right? Wow, like so many of you that I talk to, that I work with, I'm included in that because I've had to really reprogram this in my subconscious mind. We're so used to the lows, man. Like we're so used to the depressive holes, the hopelessness, the all of that. Like, wow, without being rude, comfort zone, right? It's like comfortable to feel hopeless. It's comfortable to like just like lose all facilities in life. And now you have the baseline for something that's higher. And so can you lift your floor, right? You've lifted your ceiling of what good you can experience. Can you also now lift your floor so that you're, as Tony Robbins says, you're lifting the thermostat of your life, right? You're turning that baseline up, and that's what you get to experience. So for the sake of this being a vulnerable episode that has my story scripted into it, what am I working on right now? What's my edge? This was actually the edge of the last night of the burn, the one that I'm talking about where I walked 15, God bless, 15 miles, 15 laps around this festival. I love myself. And the question that I went into that night, every night I had a question because I call them ask formations, right? So your brain is desired to answer questions. So one of the questions that I've been asking for years now is, how does it get any better than this? Which is actually the question I asked the last night of the burn is like, wow, like I almost went to sleep. I hadn't slept in days. Well, not much. And I was thinking about the future. I was starting to think about the future and how I'd have to get back to work and etc. And I was like, oh, you know what? I've already like every peak experience that I was like that was on my reach list. Like I didn't think I could have half of the experiences that I had. They were so reach for me. I had in 2 days. And I was just like, maybe I just need a nap. And I was like, well, what's possible here? You know, how can it get any better? And so that's the question that I wandered around with. And the ways that I got better is what I mentioned earlier. I got to really experience the present moment, and I got to really be with my yeses and nos and let them guide me around this festival. And it just led to more miracles, more blessings, more connection than I ever thought was possible. And so, what my edge is right now is letting this peak almost become my floor. So, what if what I experienced last weekend was as like the worst? And what if it gets to be better than that? Wow, even as I say that, my nervous system is like mind blown emoji right now of like, what if that was the worst I've ever felt? And that's the brilliant thing about subconscious reprogramming is that we can actually reprogram. We can't change what happened. You can never change what happened. There's no genie in a bottle that can make that happen. But what you can do is memories are malleable. So you can change your memories around what happened and reframe them and reprogram them. I've done this hundreds of times for myself and for others. Honestly, at this point, probably thousands. And so, what if I got to reprogram my subconscious mind to make that the worst experience of my life and that the best just keeps getting better? Now, when I say that, by the way, I'm doing this with zero attachment. I'm doing this with zero expectation. And I'm not delusional to think that I'll never get tired and cranky and never need a nap again. I'm here for the fullness of the human experience. But if I'm to answer the question of like, what am I taking out of this? What am I integrating into my life? And what am I letting be my growth edge in this moment? It is, how can it get better? Right? How can life just keep getting better? Because I've have a lot of experience of life getting worse and worse and worse. And if you're interested in that story, it'll be a part of the story that I share when Dr. Austin Harris comes back and we talk about the 2 hour long ketamine journey I did at his clinic, Neuro Relief. Because yeah, trauma's real and we all have it. And I'm a refugee in this country, immigrant, and it imprinted my nervous system. That's real. So neuroplasticity is something that I is near and dear to my heart. It's something that has made my whole life possible. Is the reason, that I haven't already taken my life, despite all the times and all the reasons that I could have. Whew, that was real. Did not think I was going to share that. Here we go. I'm wrapping this up right now. What else can I tell you? I have some notes here. Just reach out. Just reach out. When in email, fan mail, mwah, sending you love, and your fan mail. You want to hear back? Shoot me an email. Follow the show. Leave a review. Share with a friend, and join me inside the ketamine preparation protocol. That is all. It's a lot, but that's all for today. Thank you all for being here. If you made it to the end of this podcast, wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to my mom for giving birth to me. I love you so much. Thank you to Alyssa for inspiring this episode. She'll be on the show in a few weeks, so come back and listen to how flotation therapy / deprivation tanks can be a really good part for integration. I love me a good deprivation tank. That'll be the show out with Alyssa in a few weeks. And follow the show so you never miss an episode. Oh, and get on my newsletter. Namaste. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for tuning into Ketamine Connections with me today. If this episode supported you, the best way to say thank you is by sharing it or leaving a review. And if you're enjoying the show and you want to connect more, I would love to see you on my newsletter. That is where I share behind the scenes insights, thoughtful guidance, and other parts of your ketamine journey. Never spam, always fun. And honestly, since getting kicked off of social media in 2024, it's where I share the real stuff. I share stories, tools, updates that I don't post anywhere else. So sign up at any of the links in the show notes and you'll be the first to know when I'm hosting live Q&A or when I'm doing other fun things that are not available anywhere else. It's the best place to hear about it, stay connected, and grow together. All right, that is all I have for today. Thank you. Stay curious, and I'll see you next time.